got a special treat where we're going to interview one of our Bankster DFS community members, Zach Schultz. Zach took down $15,000 first prize last week. I don't want to spoil too much of the contest, the entry fee, but Zach came in and just crushed it last week. And we were talking and thought, hey, great idea. And Zach was like, you want to talk about it? I was like, I do want to talk about it. It's going to be fantastic. Let's hear how you built your lineup. Let's check the lineup. This goes really well with the GPP strategy video that I created today. And we'll get to see how Zach took GPP strategy and turned it into a big win. Don't forget, though, if you're interested in DFS, we've got the best Slack chat in the business. And you can find us at banksterdfs.com/subscribe. $3.99 a week gets you access to all of our content. That includes daily articles, player pools. Again, the best Slack chat in the business. And we cover all sports, not just football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, tennis, golf, PGA, that is golf, MMA, NASCAR, niche sports, EuroLeague, college sports, sports card collecting, sports betting. We do it all. $3.99 a week, banksterdfs.com. And if you're on YouTube, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, click the notification icon so you'll be notified when we have more videos coming up. Please check out some of those other videos that we have as well, including today's GPP strategy session that I put together this morning. But now, without any further ado, we're going to bring in Zach Schultz. And Zach, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
It's awesome having you here, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, do you do this professionally? Is this something that it's a hobby for you? What's your deal? Tell us about you.
So, I mean, I'm a completely average DFS player. I mean, I cannot express that enough. I've been playing, I don't know, a couple of years now. And it's a complete hobby of mine. I love fantasy. I love football. So, fell into the right place, and I love making lineups throughout the week and, watching it play out on Sundays. And I'm so average at this that, this is awesome. Yeah.
Clearly you're above average, taking down a big tournament. Now, what was the tournament that you took down last week?
It was the 150K nickel. It's a 3 entry.
And what was the buy-in on that?
$5.
$5 to $15,000. Have you ever won this much before? Is this your biggest win?
Easily. I hit a couple of years ago a free roll baseball tournament actually for I don't remember, $500-600 or something. But no, other than that, all my wins are playing double ups and maybe a couple small GPPs and slim profits here and there, and I go up and down usually, and I just play off what's in my account. It's fun, but I honestly never thought I'd take down a big tournament like that.
I think it's fantastic. I've said this a lot in the past, and people who are members or have seen me in the past know that I live in Las Vegas and I can't play legally. So it's horrible. It's the worst. But it's not about me today. But I my fantasy life lives and dies with the members of Bankster DFS. We're part of our community.
Yes, absolutely.
And so when I see you guys take down a tournament, we've got a lot of guys who've been doing really well lately. But $15,000 may be at least the biggest ROI for sure on a buy-in versus win. And it's just like I'm probably not as excited as you are, but I'm pretty excited when I see a big win like this come from one of the members of our community. We get to know you guys. I know that you DM me generally once a week, once every other week, just to kind of check in, see how the lineups are going. I love that. I love being able to interact with the community, and I love being able to see what you guys are doing. And when you hit something big, that really makes me excited to see that. So I'm very excited for you as well when you hit things like that. So let's talk about this lineup. I'm going to pull it up on the screen now.
Right.
We're gonna make that our main focus here, and I'll pull this off here. And so it's a little hard to see, but and I'll zoom in for everyone who's watching. But we take a little lineup. It looks like you went with the Seattle Arizona stack with Kyler Murray, and you had DeAndre Hopkins, and you had Tyler Lockett. You went Justin Jackson, Jamal Williams, Keenan Allen, Harrison Bryant, Devontae Adams, and the Washington football team defense. Selfishly very excited to see that because they were all in the player pool. So that makes me feel like, all right, we were on the right path this week. So, but we also had a number of other games we liked stacking. We really liked the Houston Green Bay game this week and the Jacksonville Chargers game. So why did you decide to make your main stack this Arizona Seattle game? What led you to that game?
Honestly, on Sundays I am similar to you, where I would say sometime during the afternoon games, to where those are ending, I look ahead at the next week's schedule, and I guess it's just like a initial reaction from literally what I just watched to how can I project that to next week. And it actually wasn't Sunday this week. I think it was Monday when Kyler played in Dallas Monday night. I think that was his game before this.
It was. We had the 9 completions, but 30 fantasy points. That was a big week.
And after watching that versus like cupcake of a matchup like that, I just thought there's no way he does this again. And he's got the spot to absolutely blow up. So right away then I knew that was one of the shots I was going to take this week. And so I figured I'll game stack it. I knew obviously you got to go Lockett or Metcalf with him. And, shout out to Sean in his article. Got some nice info on the Lockett play, and it really felt like it was just going to be a Lockett week. And
if I could just interject, the Sean is that Zach is referencing is Sean Goodwin. He writes an article called the Dirty Slot every week where he looks at slot receivers. And if I'm not mistaken, his captain obvious play last week was Tyler Lockett, which wasn't obvious to me. I had DK Metcalf. So in the lineups that I was building, even though I can't play, I like to build the lineups. I had Metcalf. And so you listen to Sean, which is always a good thing, went with Lockett and said, this is a good thing to do. So it's great that you're able to listen to, to find that out. And it sure paid off, huh?
Yeah. And I had a feeling DK would be more popular this week. So I knew I'd probably pull some leverage. And like a smaller max entry tournament like that, I'm not super concerned with leverage normally because it's not a 150 lineup kind of tournament, but I knew there was at least one spot there to get some.
Yeah, it was a great pull. I mean, Lockett versus Metcalf, that's the difference between winning and losing at this point, because if you have Metcalf there instead of Lockett, you don't win. Like, you don't come close to winning. You cash maybe, but you surely don't
absolutely
win.
Not. Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at that number, you min cash. So that was a huge thing, and it's great that you're able to use the resources that we had available at Bankster DFS. Again, selfishly, it's good to know that the team put together a play that was able to help you pop that big win. Looking at the rest of your lineup here, I see that you had 2 Green Bay players and 2 Chargers players, but no run backs on that. No, you didn't have any Jacksonville player as a run back on the Chargers game. You didn't have any Houston players as run backs on the Packers players. And, the video I did today, we talked about having that run back option for game stacks, for optimal game stacks. A lot of experts in the industry will say that, not to say that I'm an expert, but a lot of people who do this for a lot more money than I do and spend a lot more time, being that this is a secondary job, not my primary job. But people who do this for a living will tell you to do the same thing, to game stack and to use the run back as you did with Tyler Lockett with your main stack. What was the decision point for you there to go with 2 Chargers players, 2 Packers players? And I get using those guys in those games. Those are games that we love without the run back. What led you to that?
Yeah. I mean, first I'll say I honestly do probably 70% of my research through Bankster solely. So
appreciate that.
I mean, it's such a good spot for an entire collaboration of knowledge to come to place. And I'll kind of match that up with, how I'm feeling on looking at matchups. But I mean, that Lockett being in that article really popped me on him. So yeah, that was awesome. And as far as the 2 stacks I had were with no run back, it honestly kind of fell into place for me. Earlier in the week, I had texted a couple of friends. We have a chat that we usually share lineups and stuff. And I was like, I like so many high-priced receivers this week. I just don't know what to do. So I knew there had to be a way I could really fill out a really awesome receiver lineup that if they popped, I mean, I would have been good. So I went value at running back, which happened to be also on teams that some of the receivers I liked. And I went for Allen and Adams. I mean, matchup solely for that. I'm a Jaguars fan, so I understand that everybody who plays them, they're going to eat. And I think it's 6 games in a row they've given up 30 or more. And it's easy, just throw someone versus them. They're going to do it. So Allen just gets peppered with targets. So I knew that was probably the way to go. And I knew they weren't stopping anybody. And I threw Jackson in there. And he was 4.3%. I mean, he was my worst pick, but even he.
So sure didn't hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went that way because he was cheap and he was playing the Jags. Williams, same thing. I just couldn't pass up the volume at 4K. Even his floor was solid value to help you in a GPP like that. So I thought at 4K that was a no-brainer to help me get Hopkins, Lockett, Allen, and Adams.
Which is just a great roster of receivers. I mean, this was, going into the week, there was just not a ton of running backs, and there's a lot of value running backs. And I'm someone who lives and dies, unfortunately, by those high volume running backs because I'm such a cash game mentality. When I go into the GPPs, sometimes I still want to get those high price, high volume running backs. And so I would look at a lineup like this. This is a lineup I personally probably never enter. And that's not a good thing, by the way. That's not a good thing that I went to because I want to see those running backs at a high cost. But Jamal Williams, and especially because you had a running back and a receiver, two of them from the same team, they don't generally correlate well. But you made an excellent point when you talked about the floor with Jamal Williams. I just think you're right. Even if you do everything that he did do at just 4K with Aaron Jones out, the volume was going to be there at least to hit a 12-point game. And there was that upside there, which I was a little blind to. I wasn't putting Williams in my Devontae Adams lineups unless I was throwing Aaron Rodgers in there as well. And so sometimes, and one of the things I talked about in my GPP strategy video today was sometimes you got to break your own rules. And I didn't do that. And you did, it sounds like, just from general GPP strategy, you broke some rules, or you bent some guidelines, we'll call them. And it was to your benefit. And I think that's a great thing for people to hear that you did, because it's really important to understand if you have a reason for it, and you did, your reasons are sound for making the picks that you made, it can win you a GPP as it did. I also think the other thing that you mentioned that I think is so important is you talk about how you text your friends and talked about your strategies, which I loved to hear because I promote knowledge is power. I have no problem with people from, our service, our community, looking at everything else that's out there. There's so much good content out there from so many providers, and going out there and talking to people and talking through your strategies and talking through your lineups is so huge. So I think it's great that you went and did that. And well, you should probably give your friends a little thank you there too, because they put you in the right direction. I do want to ask, and I'm going to admit before I even ask the question, it's a selfish question, but I just got to know, did you get on Harrison Bryant because of the article, or were you already looking at Harrison Bryant anyway? You don't have to stroke my ego here either. If you were on him, you were on him.
No, I'm trying to think. I just remember narrowing down between Bryant because he was 25 and he had, I think I saw looking at their profiles, he outsnapped Njoku last week.
Just don't like Njoku on that team.
Yeah. And with Hooper out, I felt like he was at least going to get a split of, what they were doing at tight end. And at 2.5, once again, it was between him and Croft. Once I saw that Croft was the only active tight end, I thought maybe that's another option I was going to go.
Sure.
But when I was building this lineup, the 2,500, helped fit it in. So,
and I got lucky. Seeing Bryant, well, it was a smart play. I don't think it was luck at all. I think it was a smart play. Bryant was trending upwards. They don't like Njoku. They were running routes with him even when Hooper was playing. He was the best tight end in college football last year. Again, the team really likes him. I think it was good analysis on your part. I'll be honest. I don't think there was luck involved at all. You picked the right team and the right Cincinnati's terrible against tight ends. Picked the right player with the right team, and he picked the right guy of the two, and it was the smart play. And seeing him in Washington in your lineup, the Washington football team defense just tells me that you really understand what's happening, because, again, we talked about Bryant and that football defense. Dallas was just a mess. They're missing 2 offensive linemen. They're on the road. Washington has a strong front seven. Washington was a little chalky last week, but some people might not want to click them because they're such a bad football team. But, I think it took some stones to put them in there with this lineup. And that was awesome that you did that. That just shows me that you're figuring it out. Was there any other analysis on the Washington football team defense putting them in there, or did they kind of just fit what you were looking to do for the week?
That's a defense I've targeted a few times this year, and actually that's shout out to you on that one, because in your defense whisper section, I remember reading early in the year about how that front seven is so good, and they're going to get sacks, and sacks lead to turnovers, and even if they're giving up points, they're likely, like, let's see, this week they were also 2,500. And at that price, they're going to get some sacks, maybe force a turnover or two, and they're going to give up points, but that's fine. It happened that I got the matchup good, and Dalton went out and 6 sacks, an interception, 6 points, and a safety, and
heck of
here we are.
Of a play on there. And I love hearing the, I've always been talking for years about, got to get defensive pressure. And I love hearing that it sticks because it just works. Like, I don't ever spend up on a defense, and just hearing that you were able to echo that sentiment and use it to help you make a big win is just, again, I can't play. So it warms my heart to hear that, and this, as days are getting colder, you got to have things that warm our hearts, and watching a member of the community and someone who's been with our community for a long time. And, we appreciate that. I appreciate you being with us for as long as you are. Seeing you have the success that you had last week is fantastic. And I hope it continues. I love to see this happen. And is there anything else that you want to add to this conversation in terms of like just general GPP strategy? Today seems to be a GPP day in my world. As I did the video earlier, we're talking to you today. We're just talking about building our lineups for this week. Is there any GPP strategy that you feel like the world needs to know? This is your chance to get on your soapbox and get it off your chest, and let us know, how Zach Schultz builds his lineups.
Yeah, so I'm usually, I would say probably 80-20, 90-10 player cash to GPP, and honestly, I have always mostly played to just sustain bankroll and keep playing because it's fun. And I usually make 2 lineups, and I have my cash lineup, and I usually do 1 GPP lineup, and I find one angle that I feel this week that, game script might have, I might help you out on. And that's how I build it this week. I figured that Seattle, Arizona game was going to be high scoring. And so I knew that's the stack I wanted to take. And, you fill it out from there. You just got to plant your flag on something and go for it.
That's true. Have a take. Like Jim Rome always said, have a take, don't suck. Right. I mean, it's true. You got to stick with something. And I like that you're talking about, you got to have a story, right? You've got every GPP lineup has to have a story. If you can't tell a story with your lineup, it's probably not a lineup to use. And you said it right there. You thought it was going to be a high scoring game. You knew with the Chargers that, with the Jaguars, really, that whoever plays them is going to eat. Yep. And then we knew Green Bay was going to put up some numbers. So you were able to tell that story, and good Lord, it worked out. Let me ask one more question.
Yes,
Let me ask one more question. It really worked out. What, not to get too deep into your personal life, you buying anything fun with this money? Anything special, or is this? Are you going to be extra responsible?
Well,
or are you going to start playing higher tournaments now? Like, what's your plan with the money?
I kept a nice chunk in my account because I play a lot of DFS and dabble in sportsbook a little bit.
Cool.
And so I left myself some money to have fun there, and I got a wife and a 2-year-old, and
I was gonna say, do you have a wife?
Yeah.
Does the wife get some of this? Is the wife profiting today too?
We're responsible with most of it, and I'm gonna have a little fun myself. And honestly, I never thought this was gonna happen, and that it helped my family, and it's gonna give me some fun, and it also honestly gave me the most electric football watching experience of my life.
And especially with that last game, it's the late game. So it's like and Lockett catches that 3rd touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, that 3rd touchdown of his was really controversial. He was right at the edge of the end zone.
It went to commercial on the review, and I texted my buddy. I'm like, man, it's the longest commercial break of my life. And the amount of things that fell my way in that game, one, to keep the game going, like Arizona pulling out a big stop in the 4th to get the ball back, and there was a missed field goal in overtime and a couple penalties that extended drives when they were going to die. And I mean, everything fell my way. And the last drive of the game, Hopkins caught a 9-yard pass, and I was 4.5 down. I was in second, 4.5 down. He catches a 9-yard pass on the last drive.
Put him over 100 too.
Put him over 100, and it was that last pass that bumped me in the first. And so somebody lost $7,500 on that pass, and I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah, right. Do you sit and watch along? Like, do you watch the green screen as it goes? Because when I was able to play, I can't even look at it until all the games are over, because the second I look, it only goes down from there. Or do you have superstitions like that, or did you watch it as it happened?
I followed it as it happened on the app. It was electric. at one point I had, a couple $100 and I was really pumped.
Yeah.
And I'm texting my buddy and I'm like, man, I really have a shot to do some damage here. And things just kept happening. Murray was going off and all those touchdowns to lock it. And eventually I was getting into the 1,000, like at 1,000. I was like 2,800 at some point, and I'm texting my friend and I'm like, man, this is nuts. I'm at one point, I'm like, I'm 5 points away from 15K, man. Like, and I obviously didn't chart this, but I'd be willing to bet Hopkins didn't get a target from mid-4th until he caught that pass on the last drive of overtime. It was driving me insane.
It was a long while.
Because I knew he just needed one catch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was like everything was happening to make it last longer to even give me the shot. And it was also excruciating because they just weren't giving him the ball. And it was such a blast to watch. And I'm so glad I was able to watch it.
That's fantastic, man. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and
for
being a part of the community and for, sharing some of your strategy. And listen, I hope we get to do this every single week. I hope you win 15K every week and I get to go, all right, let's talk to Zach again. How did he do it? But, honestly, continued success. I'm rooting for you every single week. And listen, folks, if you want to join Zach in the Bankster DFS community, you want to join the rest of us, you can find us at banksterdfs.com. Add the /subscribe. It's only $3.99 a week. I'm sure Zach does not mind that he paid $4 a week at this point for some of that advice, just for that one pick alone from Sean.
I'm grandfathered in.
Oh, you're only paying $3 a week. You got it good. Yeah, back in the day, we grandfathered some friends, but even at $4, I bet you wouldn't be complaining.
Hey, absolutely.
Folks, we got monthly and yearly prices, which do get you closer to that $3 a week as well. But if you just want to do the $4 a week, it's worth it. And it's worth it. Literally, you do one $5 double up a week. It pays for itself. But, we do give GPP strategies. We cover all the sports, articles, player pools, and the best Slack chat in the business. You are not members. You are part of a community. You are part of Team Bankster. We love having you guys there. Zach, thank you again for stopping in today. Yep. And, man, like I said, I hope we get to do this again. Guys, you can follow Zach. If you want to follow him and ask him more about his strategy, you can follow him on Twitter at SCHU1TZY. That'd be Schultze with a 1 instead of an L. Check him out, and you can follow me, of course, at Bankster17. I'll be back Sunday with the Big Gouda. The Big Gouda will be here 11:30 a.m. Eastern, looking at Week 8 NFL DFS, taking you up to lock with a host of other people. Until then, guys, thank you so much. Zach, thanks again. Good luck this week.
Thanks, man.